Hey guys, this is me, Jackson Taylor, also known as JT981 Vinyl, and hello Vinyl community, YouTube Vinyl community. Um, I was just here to talk about an electronic artist I really like named JKR70. He's probably, you know, the my most favorite artist of anything actually. Electronic music's probably my favorite genre too, probably just because of him. JKR70, he's really awesome, spelled out JKR70, and I'm just here to talk about some of his music. He uses a lot of samples. He's a sample-based electronic musician. I guess you could kind of compare him to a Montauban. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'm not quite sure. If you could, I'm not really sure how to describe it, but he just uses a lot of samples. It sounds like he uses purely samples in his music to me, from the top down. From the vocal samples he uses, he's a big, user of vocal samples, down to the heavy drum samples he uses as well, and things like that. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to describe him. He's just really awesome to me. He's very interesting. He was as far as I know, he started off as the producer for local to here, Kansas City, Missouri, hip hop group Human Crop Circles. I'm not very familiar with their discography or their history. I was only able to be a fan of them for a while before they just kind of went out of commission, unfortunately. Not really sure what the story is on that. Maybe things just weren't really going anywhere, so they decided to, just kind of stop continuing that name. But it consisted of JKR70, the producer, Lucid, the MC, and I believe DJ Taxic did a lot of their scratches and cuts and things like that. And I believe Psych, who runs Psychonomics here, he does a lot of design, things like that, and selling apparel and things like that, clothing design, things like that. He probably did a lot of their album covers and various other designs and things like that that they may have needed. Um, and they, it's just an awesome hip hop group. I think it was really cool to have, JKR70 backing, an electronic musician backing hip hop versus like just your everyday hip hop producer. I believe there's a discrepancy between the two. You know, um, I think that just makes for some really good music. Um, the only release I'm aware of from them are The Future's Not What It Used to Be, Tiananmen Square, Dreamtime, and Project Lucid. Project Lucid is their latest and apparently final release. That's the first album that I got to listen to. That's what first exposed me to JKR70 in general. I got to meet him in person, but after after having met him as a person, I found Project Lucid and then really got into his music. And I have a couple of tracks from The Features, Not What Used to Be, that I found from the internet, somewhere, but I'm not really sure where to get that. Tiananmen Square was more of a political hip hop kind of album, featuring, instead of Lucid, I think maybe had parts in there. I'm not quite sure. It's hard for me to tell the two apart, and by their voice, but featuring Ubiquitous of the current hip hop group CES Cru, signed to the international hip hop label Strange Music. Um, Also based here in Kansas City, the biggest indie hip hop label in the world. That's pretty awesome. And shout out to Crate Junkies for knowing CES Cru and saying they're awesome without me even prompting it. I thought that was pretty awesome. We were discussing Tech Nine, but anyway, yeah, he featured on here. I've heard him say himself he was just really angry when he was on this album. It was a lot of it was about the Bush administration and 9/11, and also about Tiananmen Square, which was a massacre that took place in China on June 4th, 1989, or may have been June 6th if it was. Sorry about that, but sometime in June 1989, I believe the people were pushing for democracy over there, and the government just forcibly overruled them. Maybe you've seen the picture, Tank Man. It's like three tanks coming down the street to a guy standing in the street holding groceries. That's a very popular image from that event that seems to be pretty popular. And sorry I ramble a little bit. Anyway, it features a lot of rap by Ubiquitous over, Joker70's music, and Joker70 has some of his own, just electronic music in there. Those tracks I know of are, I believe, America, Death March, Iraq, and Death March, US. The last track, One. Those are the only ones I remember off the top of my head. There might have been a couple others on there that were just Joker70 doing his usual thing without any rap over it or anything. But yeah, I thought that was a really awesome album. If you like hip-hop, especially political hip-hop, go give it a listen. It was really awesome. And I'll link all of these albums down in the description, by the way, so you guys don't have to go hunt for them. I'll just link them down there. And another release under the Human Crop Circle's moniker, although I think it's really just a pure Joker70 release. He's released under the Human Crop Circle's moniker because they still existed back with the release of this album. Dreamtime. Here's the CD. Here, I'll try to get that in good light in the camera there, and that's Joker70 himself there, sitting there holding his forehead in the chair. And this was just a really personal release to Joker70 from what I've seen here in the album picture insert. Here, I might as well just read that off. First of all, thank you for purchasing this CD. It is a very personal project for me. It wasn't originally intended to even be an album. It started out as a way for me to get back into the music. At the time, I was going through mad, stressful, and emotional times. My mother, who was in Spain, passed away, my job was intolerable, and to top it all off, my girl was focused on her life and finding herself. She needed time to grow, and I wasn't prepared to give that time. It was like I was in a hazy Dreamtime world where nothing made sense, so to even try and focus on the music or the scene was next to impossible. Thankfully, my friends were there. Lucid, Psych, Ubiquitous, Vertigon, and Godimus. Ubiquitous and Godimus are the two MCs in CES Cru. We're all welcome to distractions and sources of inspiration. Lucid in particular. I want to thank you all. Also, I want to touch on my use of samples. I wanted to purge myself of the emotions that were dragging me down, but I'm not very comfortable with my voice in an MC capacity. I had all these things that I wanted to relay and didn't know how to say them. Music speaks to me on many levels, and it seemed like a lot of what I was listening to at the time contained little snippets of exactly the way I was feeling. Bjork was saying this, Saul was saying that, and even Fleetwood Mac and movies spoke to me. Strings and pianos were nudging me even closer to an emotional recovery. It seemed logical to weave all these things together, and this album is the result, Dreamtime. I'd like to thank the following people. It's just names. I don't want to read all those out. This album is dedicated to my girl Jamie and my son Phoenix. Peace, Rich/Joker70. All tracks produced by Joker70, obviously, and artwork by Psych-Style Designs. Here's that album cover one more time. And it's probably my favorite Joker70 album. It's just, him doing his usual thing. Like I said, it's kind of hard to describe this music with words without just comparing it to stuff and I don't even know what to compare it to. You just have to hear it for yourself. This album's only available on CD Baby, and there's only a few tracks that are there with like 30-second previews, but some of his other stuff is available on his Bandcamp page, which you can listen to fully before purchasing it. If you were to purchase it, so I can give you kind of a preview of some of his music. I'll be talking about some of that too. But yeah, Dreamtime I really liked as an album. It was just really personal and emotional and relatable for me. I really liked it. It was probably one of the most mastered and mixed albums I've ever heard. Like how far things go off to the side and stuff in the stereo field was just really cool. Stereo field, the soundstage is what I call it. And I even use this CD as a test disc to set up my stereo, just because I've listened to it so many times on the setup. If I need to move it and things like that, I know when something's wrong, and this album doesn't quite sound right to me. I really like it cohesively, as a whole, as one piece. I'm going to go listen to Dreamtime now. It's an hour-long journey, hour-long emotional journey. It's not really individual tracks to me necessarily. There's a few that I can pull out and listen to. Parted is one that I relate to. It's like two, best friends who say they love each other, but they've unfortunately parted. So Cold, I just really like the, drum samples and scratches and things, and not necessarily even drum samples, just samples in general. Um, on My Own, I liked that track. It was just pretty awesome. It was just one vocal sample of a guy singing On My Own, pretty much. But you know, it kind of felt like it was an emotional calling out for help song. That's what the sounds kind of gave to me. Um, you know, Twitter Pated kind of has an interesting voice on there, and you know, things like that. But anyway, you know, I really like that release, Dreamtime, and you know, and then there's Project Lucid, you know, which is a Human Crop Circles release, you know, with the MC Lucid obviously rapping over, you know, JKR70's music. I really like, you know, having an electronic artist backing hip hop versus like, you know, your run-of-the-mill hip hop producer. I feel like that's a big discrepancy and it makes a big difference. And JKR70 does an awesome job with hip hop production. Like, you know, imagining people rapping over his music. That's just the backlight of my laptop going out. Imagining people rapping over his music when you just listen to, you know, his solo releases, his soul releases. Sorry, I rambled too much, but you know, you wouldn't really, at least for me, it's kind of hard to imagine people rapping over it. But you know, it's specifically made for that. He does a really good job. That he does a good job of everything he does, music-wise. You know, and that's the most recent and as far as I know right now, the final release of Human Crop Circles. And then moving on from there, JKR70 signed to a local Kansas City, Missouri label called Sharp County Records, headed by Clay Hughes, a local, I call him kind of a folk music artist, but you know, he's done some other stuff too. You know, he's helped with hip hop production and things like that too, I believe. You know, he's pretty awesome as well. But anyway, you know, when JKR70 first signed there, he released a digital 7-inch there, 2 tracks for free, just to introduce people to him who may not have heard him before. First track, Blue Sky Mix. It samples a lot from the Pink Floyd album / movie The Wall. I noticed. I realized that after I had heard that song, and when I watched the movie The Wall, I'd never heard that album. And I went, whoa, JKR70 sampled this stuff. That's pretty awesome. I just felt like that was really awesome when I heard that. Then the next track, Inarticulate Love, is it's hard to pick a favorite, but it's like one of my favorite JKR70 tracks, I guess. There's many, upon many, but you know, it's really hard to pick like that. But I mean, I really like that track. You know, it's just about, you know, you don't need to be very articulate to be in love. That's just what it says in the track. You know, if you try to express your love in a poem, but you're not so great with words, you know, that doesn't necessarily reflect on your emotional innards. You know, then after that, he worked with Clay Hughes to release a collaborative project called The Weather Machine, WHETHER, Weather Machine, and there goes the CD starting to play. It's actually a JKR70 album I was just listening to. I don't know why that started playing, but you know, anyway, what was I saying? I wish I could just ask the person I'm in the conversation with, what was I just saying? Oh yeah, the track. Oh no, I was talking about The Weather Machine. Yeah, spelled WHETHER, The Weather Machine. You know, Weather Machine. It was like, it just came out really awesome to me. There were, you know, several tracks that had rap on them. So you have like hip hop influences, and then you have JKR70's awesome electronic music, combined with Clay Hughes' like folk music. I thought that was really awesome. You hear like electronic and folk music together, and sometimes even hip hop in there. You know, electronic folk hip hop. That just came out as a really awesome album. Sounds really, you know, great pulling out individual tracks and listening to them on the go, and it sounds really even better, you know, cohesively as one full album. I recommend you give it a listen. My favorite track off there is probably The Replacement, which has a video, which I can also link to. And yeah, go give that a listen. You know, and then JKR70 put out, you know, a full release of his own called Audio Black Book. and then like subtitled under it Volume 1, Something Borrowed. I'm not sure if there's going to be like a Volume 2 or something, I'm not sure, but Audio Black Book, a lot of the tracks, it's just a generally awesome album. Used a lot of heavy drum samples, and a lot of the tracks are remixes of a previous project he had done called the Resound Fields Surround Sound Project, which was basically just music to go along with a comic book by a local Kansas City comic book and figure artists, like small actual, like, I hate to say doll, but like doll figures and things like that on Scribe. And what was I saying? Sorry, I keep losing my place, but yeah, that CD was just coming with that comic book, and that comic book was printed, limited edition, 100 copies, and that CD just comes with it. It was never really released as an album or anything like that. It was just meant to go with that comic book. So I wish I could like link that to you guys somehow so you could hear it. I'm not really sure how I could do that. I'll maybe I can figure something out. But anyway, I really liked that release too. I don't know, it's to me it seems a lot more like beat focused, than drum focused. I hope you understand what I mean by like beats, like bass beats like you would hear in hip hop production and things like that, versus heavy drum samples from like classic rock and things like that, which are things JKR70 uses a lot in his other music. That's what he uses a lot in Audio Black Book. But and what I was saying was a lot of several of the tracks in Audio Black Book were just remixes of tracks from Resound Fields, I assume, just to let them be released publicly, just maybe in a slightly different version, so he just didn't totally rip them off from that comic book project. They have some record scratches and stuff added to them. Depending on the day, I like the Audio Black Book version better, and sometimes I like the Resound Fields version better. I don't know, it just depends on the day. They're both awesome. I like everything JKR70 does. Of course, they're awesome to me. And then there's just a single that he put out last Valentine's Day called My Funny Valentine, MFV. That's on his Bandcamp. I really liked that track as well. It's like some really funky like wobble bass in there sampled, and a girl talking about her love for her guy, her man, and things that she'd like to share with them together, and how she never wants their love to end. And I think the man talks a little bit too, from what I remember. I can't quite tell from the voice, though. It's a bit too manipulated for me to tell who was talking. But anyway, yeah, I really liked that track as well. I listened to that earlier today. And his most recent release is the Chocolate EP, which takes a lot of samples from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That was a pretty interesting project. I like that. It was really sample heavy, though. It almost seemed like it was just organization of sound from the movie. I don't remember there being that much from like drum samples and stuff. I mean, there was, of course. It's still his music. It does have like a sticker on the album cover, though. It's like a Wonka sticker. It says incomplete product. So I'm not sure if that's saying, hey, I did this to have something out. I've got more music coming soon. Here's this to tide you over, or if that was just a creative addition to the album cover. I'm not sure. But that was a good release too. I'll admit I only listened to it once, like all the way through. I haven't heard any of the tracks twice. So I just listened to it once on his Bandcamp. I know I liked it, and eventually I'm gonna buy it. It's just a buy it now, name your price right now. I downloaded to listen to it, but I'm gonna buy it here eventually. It was a good release, and that's his most recent release that I'm aware of, and hopefully he has more music coming soon. That's as of June 11th, 2013. So if people see this video later on, they'd be like, 2 years later, they could be like, oh, there's probably more JKR70 music out. I'm gonna go check it out. But yeah, and I hope you do. JKR70, he really deserves support. I'm just trying to get him support, whether financial support for buying his albums, that's always great, but the emotional support, the word of mouth support, spreading the word, so more people can hear his music and more people can be aware of his presence. I think that would just help a lot, and that would mean a lot to him. Both of those do. But I think just the word of mouth support means even more to him, just for people to hear his musical message, hear what he has to say through his music. That means a lot to anyone, who puts, their heart and soul into their music, and I feel like JKR70 does that. I think you can tell that from my reading of the album Slip from Dreamtime. But yeah, go listen to those. I'll link those all down in the description. And if you're not even necessarily an electronic music fan, still go listen to his music. If you like a lot of classic rock stuff, he uses a lot of heavy drum samples in Audio Black Book. Um, I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe the samples he uses will still draw you to him. I mean, I feel like he uses samples like just top to bottom for the entire, for the entirety of his tracks. I feel like that's pretty awesome. It just creates an awesome sound. I don't think he actually uses much, computer synthesized sounds. I know he uses FL Studio, Fruity Loop Studio. Now it's known as FL Studio for his music. At least that's last he told me. But anyway, yeah, if you're not an electronic music fan, maybe, JKR70 can still pull you in with his awesome use of samples, and maybe that'll just be kind of like a, guilty pleasure thing on the side, like, oh, I'm not an electronic music fan, but I'll still like JKR70. I could see that being true for some people. But yeah, go give all this music a listen, and I'll see you guys around later. Oh yeah, just to talk about my lack of videos, my school schedule and all the work I had to do was just so bad. I didn't even have time to sit down and listen to music, let alone make these videos. And I'm sorry this is just a webcam video on my laptop with the crappy microphone. That's all I could do for right now. But I wasn't going to let not having my camera set up and everything, take an opportunity to make a video from me. I just listened to, Resound Fields on my stereo here, which I made a video about earlier, my, basement setup here. But yeah, I hope to be making more videos this summer. I've got a ton of unlistened vinyl to go clean, to listen to and clean. I've got like a couple of, just giant batches of records that I bought on the cheap that I haven't listened to yet. A lot of it I have, actually. I just need to clean it. But a lot of these records, take 2 or 3 like scrubbings on, my cleaning machine to really get them sounding clean, without much crackling and popping. There's always a little bit of dirt and stuff left after one cleaning, and then the second cleaning, most of it's gone. Then there's a little bit that I just have to clean it again because I know I can get it out if I really try. So it's going to take me forever to clean all these records. I need to, just try the sync method. For right now, I just have a cake turntable, for spinning cakes on, to put icing on it. But I keep forgetting what I'm saying. But yeah, it works. I took the motor out of it so I could spin manually. Honestly, I felt like spinning manually actually worked better. Originally, I was like, no, I'm not getting a manual turn, record cleaning machine, but I actually kind of like that better. So I started using microfiber cloths. By the way, I bought some microfiber cloths from Home Depot, and those things are so much more absorbent than the ShamWows I have. I have a couple of ShamWows. I mean, they work, but they don't last nearly as long. They're not nearly as absorbent, which I found interesting. But anyway, I was trying to use just towels to, wipe stuff up, and it was really hard to do that with the motor, torque. It's like I just stopped the motor, and then scrubbing was hard, so it's a lot faster just to have manual turning. I'll try to go back to a vacuum setup maybe. I don't know. I'll have to experiment with things. But yeah, hopefully I can be more active in the community. I'll try to post, now playing stuff. I was just about to make a post. I never really am able to take or feel like taking pictures of the albums I'm listening to. I always forget to until after I listen to it, so I can't really do now playing posts. I always forget. I could just take a picture of the CD right now. I guess say just played or something. I might start doing that. Let's make that a thing. JP just played, and then along with that up next, you win. Maybe just up next. And then after that, if I'm gonna play another album, if I have like a whole queue of albums I'm about to listen to, like I just listened to Resound Fields. Next, I'm probably gonna listen to Audio Black Book, and after that, Dreamtime. Then it's gonna be like midnight, and I'll probably just screw around the internet a bit and then go to bed. But yeah, go check out JKR70. If you like it, give him support. If you don't, if it's simply not your style, still give him emotional support. It's not like you know, all types of music are for everybody. You know, just respect it. You know, just get the word out. Give him, you know, any financial support you can too. You know, buy the albums. Buy the albums. That would mean a lot to me and him. Um, you know, yeah, and I hope to be more active in the community. And peace out.